You get it?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. So first and foremost, thank you very, very much for taking your busy time out from the lockdown activities. Here in India, it's still the lockdown, but I hear the good news tumbling in, which is in Australia that people have been allowed to congregate two more families and kids and everybody together. That's absolutely great news of perseverance and persistence that all of you have gone through over the last few years, last few months or weeks, in fact. So this is very good news. And what great news can it be that when two cities come together, so we have devotees from Perth and Melbourne both coming together for this session. So more than happy to speak to all of you. Some of the devotees who are on the cam, I do know them because I've been there for a sacred retreat ceremony earlier in 2019 when the things were all good and better. So I was there for Perth devotees, some of them who do not know me. This is a great opportunity for me also to interact with all of you. So first and foremost, thank you very much for taking your time out and inviting me for these sessions. Um, the topic that we have is called as total surrender gives total freedom. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's a series of lectures. And those who have missed the first part, you do not need to worry at all. I would give a small recap, just like it happens in those mega serials. They keep stopping you at the right time and they just write at the bottom of the screen to be continued on a Friday evening. And for the next 2 days, people are twiddling their thumbs and thinking what's going to happen to that story. And when we come back on Monday, it's a big fuss. Nothing has moved on from there. So I will not keep you in those tender hooks. I will definitely give you a recap so that you can go through what we have spoken earlier as well. So without much further ado, let's delve into the topic. And as Nadesh and Prabhu said, and people who know me, I never keep my lectures as a monologue. So I see so many people on Zoom call right now. So it's going to be an interactive session where I'm going to ask questions as well. And I'm going to ask your opinions. I'm going to ask your point of view. So it's not a monologue. So don't be scared. Don't drop out of Zoom yet, just because I'm going to ask some interactive questions. So please be there. And I hope this session would be entertaining for you. So let us start with our invocation prayers, and after which we can immediately start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varaname. So we are here to discuss the topic total surrender gives total freedom. And when we hear this topic's name, two words out of this topic always reflects in our brain. What are those two words? Because two words are common, Total surrender gives total freedom. So the word total is common, but the two principal words that we speak about, surrender and freedom. These are the two words that we speak about. And generally, in this world, we have a lot of different meanings and different ways by which we understand the meaning of these two words. So let us take a first example or the first word in itself and drive through examples and understand how we have conjured up an image of these words. So it's an open question right at the start. When I say the word surrender, of course, many people might have seen in movies where the villain is totally bashed and bruised, and the police has come at the end when the whole scene is over, everything is happy go lucky, and they take out their pistol and they load their pistols and they show it in front of the villain, and they say, in America they say freeze, or in India or in other countries they say surrender. That's one of the image that flashes into my mind when I use this word called surrender. But that need not be always the word that you might be, or the image that might be coming into your mind. So I'm going to ask an open question. When I say the word surrender, what's the first thing that's coming into your mind? Do not worry whether it's spiritual, material. What's the first image that's coming into your mind? I would like to have answers from people who are there on the call.
Give up. If you're doing something, stop doing that and give up and change your mind. Change your mind.
Stop doing something and change your mind. Don't change your mind to drop off from this lecture. Please be there. Okay, that's a good one. But anybody else? Okay, stop doing something and give up something. So two good verbs there. Anybody else?
So, Prabhuji, in my mind, when you say the word surrender, it's you are working under some bigger discipline or some bigger authority because you are no longer doing and trying to, you're no longer doing what you want to do as an individual. As opposed to that, actually, you are giving up your desire
Mhm.
and then to some bigger authority.
Okay, so you're giving up your so-called freedom of executing certain things to a higher authority. So the person who answered that, so whoever is answering, please tell your name as well, because sometimes Zoom, I've kept the view so that it records in my computer, so I would not know who is answering. So please tell your name as well. So whoever answered right now, can you tell me, when you say that you want to give up into an authority, is that a good thing in your mind, or is it something like with a heavy heart you are sharing that?
So again, so this is Sumit here, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Uh, this is again, I'm not gonna say spiritually. I'm just kind of because we're starting the session.
Right.
Ideally, in a materialistic term, you would think that it's probably not the best thing because you are under an authority and you are giving away your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, but let's say you are entering. Let me take an example, right? So let's say somebody is coming from Somalia and actually he's entering into US, North America, and then actually while entering or giving the passport stamp, he's saying, okay, I'm surrendering and I'm going to abide by the rules and regulations in North America. Uh, and by in doing so, though I'm actually giving up my freedom, but at the same time, within that freedom, I'm getting access to other facilities, other enjoyment. So so that's one way to look at it.
So there's a
And we can
so there
extend that.
so there's a give and take in that. So very very nicely put. Very nice example. Thank you so much. So there is a give up of something, but there is something to achieve when you are under the authority. Okay. Anybody else, when they hear the word surrender, what is the other image that comes into your mind? You're all very positive people. I thought some negative answers will come. Seems like everybody is positive. Did Nadia Chandra Prabhu already tell you that only positive answers should come? Yeah. So any answers? Anybody?
So to give away Shashank here, Shashank Bhargav here.
Yes.
Something to me probably would be to give away control. Now, as a human, we all tend to believe that, we want to control things. I want this, I want that. Everything should go as per what I generally think.
Mhm.
We all understand on one aspect that yes, we want that, but obviously, destiny is another part which we cannot control. But still, the human mind is designed in such a way that we want to control things. So to me, surrender means that, I want to give away that. Whether I am comfortable or not is something which I'm still dwelling on.
Okay, that's very, very nicely put at the end, that we still do not know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's something that we are dwelling on. And so you're right there at the right topic, because we're going to speak about that, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to dwell upon. So, yes, everybody has got some notions about surrender. And I've been hearing this from all of you or some of you, that it's giving up away of something. Fortunately or unfortunately.
I would
Yeah.
like to add to it, Nadia
Yeah.
Chandra here.
Yeah, Nadia Chandra Prabhu.
It's like a man getting married and then husband surrendering to the wife.
Surrendering to the Wimborth and the Burtons of the world, where we are surrendered to our fate of being in a lockdown and cleaning up everything. Yeah, I can hear you. I echo with you, bro. I think I should be the one who should be telling this to all the marketing Wimbars of the world who actually use this, that they should put moisturizer in it. Our hands have gone, literally. Right. So I hear you, Prabhu. Total surrender to the married life of it. Yes. Otherwise, where is the go? Absolutely. So everybody has got this image of something to give up, something um, to let go of. Fortunately or unfortunately, that's the way the world has defined this word. If you look at this word very carefully in the material sense of it, what it exuberates and what it conjures up to is always defeat of certain things. Sometimes when you surrender to a higher authority, not in the spiritual sense, but in the material sense, when you see, sometimes they talk about humiliation. They also talk about despair, the kind of difficulty that you go through once you have surrendered. And these are generally the common reactions that we get. For example, the world is always battling with one country versus the other. So if you look at the past history, there have been so many battles which have happened in the history of time. What happens in those battles? There's always one side which wins, and there's always one side which loses. So in this battle which happens, the wars that happen, whether it's the Vikings of the world, whether it's between the great nations of the modern world, between the empire of Japan or the United States at Pearl Harbor, or it is the World War I or World War II, in the battles we always see that there is one side which will win and the other side which will surrender into the war, and they say that we cannot win anymore. But what happens in those stories when we read is there is disgrace, there is humiliation, and there is distress and despair on the side of the country which has lost the war. And we see time immemorially the history books have been written where these desperate countries are trying their level best to take revenge, are trying their level best in the next war to avenge the defeat, to avenge the humiliation that has hit them. This is a common notion that we always read about. And this is the common notion that we hear. Because if you see, even in the history books, the people who go to war are soldiers. And up to around say 500, 600 years back, even in country like India, where the Kshatriya class, Kshatriya means those who are born and bred for war. The people had a different code of conduct. What they actually did was that when they stepped out for the war, they will ensure that they will not show their back and they will not surrender. So there was a very good small story once which I learned in my school days. And the story was about a Kshatriya king. A Kshatriya is none other than, just consider him as a great king who has been born and bred for war. So he was a Kshatriya king, and this king had a beautiful wife. And he told his wife, the enemy is at the gates and I'm going to battle today. The wife said, excellent, please go and be victorious. The king stepped out, battled the whole day, and in the evening he knocked the door of his wife. And he said, I have come back. You know what the wife said? She opened the door. She didn't even open the door. She just opened the peephole of the door and she said, have you won the battle? The first answer that the king gave was that I have not won the battle yet. I have just sensed what the battleground is and who is the enemy. She said, then you cannot enter into my home. He said, what's wrong? The king was told that he is a Kshatriya, he's a soldier. In the soldier's war or duty or an oath, there are only two things that can exist. One, he has to go into the battle and be victorious, or he has to come back dead. There is no question of surrender, was one of the answers given by the wife of the husband. Imagine if we were in that position. We would say this is the end of surrender, either to the marriage or to the battle. But these were the kind of notions that people lived in back in those days, where surrender was always attributed to the words of despair, defeat, humiliation, etc. This is not only there in the olden days, this is there also in the modern age. A famous example, since I am from India, you all might know that what happens nowadays, sports are put into a lockdown. There is no sporting activities that happen. But you all can imagine if there was one single advertisement which will come, India versus Pakistan cricket match. How much amount of people will be rallying on the streets for each side, and imagine somebody surrenders their wicket, surrenders their match, and loses the match. What will happen in that country? It will be a sense of despair, disgrace, where the media will run them riot, and they will actually take the case of the cricketers or the football persons or whomever might be the sports persons. Because in these days, what it is being said is that nowadays there is an entire aura which is created of surrender, which says that if anybody surrenders, it is actually bad for them. It is seen in a very different way. Why? Because we are living in a society which is highly individualistic, where our Instagrams are highly individualistic, our Facebooks are highly individualistic, our YouTubes are highly individualistic, tailored for our content, our ways of shows. If you pick anyone's phone and see the YouTube feed, it will be highly individualized and customized for the person. So when this individualism is fed in all different quarters, what it does is it does not allow us to surrender. It constantly says if you as an individual surrender, it meets you with defeat. But what is the other side of the Western world, what it preaches? What the Western world preaches is that then you should have complete freedom. You should surrender unto no one. So now my question opens up again to all of you. One side of the story, we saw that the image which is conjured on surrender is defeat, humiliation, despair. The solution which is offered on the other side of the world is total freedom. Now, how many of you feel that the freedom should be total in nature or it should be restricted? Some of you gave an example. Actually, Sumit Prabhu gave a very nice example. There is some restrictions in the freedom. But I want to open up this question to all of you. that what do you think? Freedom should be complete with no restrictions, or freedom should be restricted and monitored? What is your opinion and why? You have to give a reason to it. Open question. Anybody can answer and give their opinion. Freedom should be restricted, or freedom should be totally liberal without authority. It should be given to all. And if you are taking either side, please give a reason why it is so. Anybody? You have the freedom to unmute also. Don't worry about me.
Prabhuji, Sumit again.
Yes.
I think if freedom is such that though you are, of course, you are within that rules and regulation and discipline,
Mhm.
but at the same time, what you think and what you feel, that you are, it's your natural position. So, so for example, you are in US. In the previous example, you're in US. You are actually free. You are doing your duty. You're fulfilling. You basically getting what you want, and you are happy with no restriction. But within that limit, or within that envelope, which is there as the rules and regulation, maybe a mix of that would
Right.
be an ideal case.
But why do we need that? Why do we need? We should be totally free. If I advocate right now on this Zoom call with a placard in my hand, we want total freedom. We don't want any authority to tell us what to do and what not to do. What will happen? What's the wrong thing in that? Anybody else? Anybody else apart from Sumit Prabhu? He gave his bit of an opinion.
Krishna Prabhuji, this
Uh,
Pradeep family,
Yes, please go
uh,
ahead, Pradeep Prabhu.
I think the freedom should be completely not no restriction, without any restriction.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's my idea. Otherwise, it's not freedom. It's like restricted. Yeah.
Yeah, so Pradeep Prabhu is very emphatically saying, what freedom is it when it's not free and it's being dominant in the dom, right? So it's not being there. Okay, we hear you. Okay, anybody else who wants to talk about freedom? Yes,
Manju,
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm Purushottam.
yes, Prashant.
I think it should be with restrictions. Something like football court, it should be two post. If the post should be disturbed, there will not be any lecture. Means something be vague. Is what I think.
Purushottam Prabhu has hit the goal where it has to be. Absolutely right. Wonderful, Prabhu. I think you were a football player before. It has come to use now,
Hare Krishna.
right? So very, very different answers, and let us look at from very different examples, right? Freedom in itself, of course, it's free for everyone. Whether it should be restricted or unrestricted is a question. And let us take some examples to understand. The first example that Sumit Prabhu took, we are in our great country called as Australia. We have got some freedom to execute certain things. We can go anywhere in Australia now that the lockdown has lifted up. Maybe some rules are coming in. Or let us go 1 year back when such situations were not there. We were free to go anywhere. We were free to carry out a profession that we would like to execute. We would like to join any company that we would like to join based on our merit. So these were some of the freedom that we were given to do any profession. However, if we choose a profession of terrorism, if we choose a profession of farming marijuana and drugs, if we choose a profession to sell liquor and hard drinks in the unrighteous manner, people will arrest us. People will put us in jail. Now, what does this mean? This means that we have got total freedom to do our activities. As long as we leave our freedom, we give away our freedom in certain aspects. Let me repeat that again and let us understand that very clearly. as long as we leave our freedom in certain aspects, here rules and regulations of the government, if we do not execute a freedom on that, we are free to be completely practicing the profession that we want to profess in Australia. And another example could be, you can drive around entire of Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, wherever you want in your 4x4, and you can go anywhere you want in Australia by driving and camping. And that's one of the reasons when I came there, I saw people are totally free. They just take their caravan, their boats, and they just sit by the river and they just enjoy 2 to 3 weeks of that time. That means they have complete freedom to do that. But if somebody says, I want to drive around anywhere in Australia, but there should be no traffic lights, I am not going to obey the traffic lights of red, saffron, and green. I would like to put my pedal on the gas and I would like to drive, keep on driving and never come back. What will that do? That will ensure that there are more anarchy and chaos on the roads of Australia. What will that make? That will make our movement further restrictive because there will be accidents on the road. If there are more accidents on the road, if there are more restrictions on the road, our freedom will get curbed. So here we see in this example, by giving total freedom without restrictions is actually limiting our freedom. Are you understanding this parallel? By not following the traffic rules, we will ultimately restrict our freedom. By not following the laws of the country, we will limit our freedom by ending up in jail where the freedom is further limited. So the total freedom as per Shastric science is very simple. And it is not even Shastric, it is there in the material world also. That we achieve total freedom only when we give up some part of the freedom. When we give up this mentality that nobody should be on top of our mind, when we try to give up that, only then we try to achieve a balance. And like Purushottam Prabhu said, a very beautiful example. You are in a football field trying to play football. And sometimes there is one person who is not wearing a red jersey, who is not wearing a blue jersey. He is wearing a black jersey and he has a whistle in his mouth and he has written FIFA on his shoulder sleeves. What does he do? Every 5 minutes, sometimes or the other, he blows his whistle and brings the game to a stop. He is the referee of the match. Now, if you are in the audience, if you say this is not totally a free play, this person in the black t-shirt is actually whistling and bringing the game to a stop, and this is hampering the game, the answer would be that, yeah, you can remove him, but it will be a chaos on the football field. If those two posts are not there and that netted screen is not there, people will shoot anywhere and they will say, I have scored a goal. So a game which is free to play has to also have some restrictions, has to also follow some rules and regulations. So what we see is that on one side, we see the word surrender, which is actually conjured up with total sense of humiliation, despair, and distress if somebody does it in the material world. And the other side, the material world, people are saying we should be completely free. This is a total antagonistic scenario which is presented before us without somebody telling how to equate both of these things together. There is nobody telling us what is the relationship between surrendering and gaining freedom. At the same time, nobody is telling about how to gain total freedom by surrendering some part of your freedom. I am not trying to do any word jugglery. Please listen to it carefully. How can we surrender by giving up some part of the freedom and we get total freedom? On the other side, we have to restrictively surrender certain part of our freedom and still gain total freedom. So the gain is, the bottom line is always happiness. That is what we are aiming for. That is what we are trying to achieve. And that is what we would like to have. So, expecting restrictions on oneself, like many of you said, giving up certain things but with restrictions, giving up of certain other things, but we need to have some set of rules. So, expecting restrictions on oneself, that today Haridas from today will do only these things and he will not doing that. Expecting restrictions on freedom gives us more freedom. And one nice example that I will say Prabhupada has given. So imagine you were a small kid of below 5 years of age, and you wanted to cross the school gate and you wanted to cross the road, because on the other side of the road there was a candy vendor, a vendor who is selling all candy floss. And as kids we always love that candy floss, that pink color candy floss, which used to be tasting so well. It's like cotton that melts in your mouth, and we always wanted that. But when we are looking at the road, it is whizzing past with cars from left, right, and center. We are very scared to cross the road. Our desire is to cross the road and enjoy that candy floss, but we cannot cross the road because there is so much of traffic in between. At that very moment, you are thinking, how will you achieve your desire? Comes your mother to pick you up from school. And when your mother comes to pick you up from school, you pull her shirt and you say, Mother, I want that candy floss. It seems so tasty. Your mother says, okay, I will get it for you. Why don't you hold my hand? Because we have to cross the road. What do? We actually give our one finger to our mother and she holds us tightly. Once she holds us tightly, can any one of you tell me what is the thought process going on in your mind? How many of you would have been thinking, if you can recollect that scene, whenever you were helped by your mom or dad or anybody elder to cross the road when you were small, when you were holding on, what was your effort? Zero. You have to just give the finger. What was the effort of the mother? She has to just hold the finger. What was our thought? Did we think, oh, this truck 6x6 is going to cross? How do I dodge as per physics? Should I do a matrix step and step back? Did we think about it? No. Did we think that this Toyota 4x4 is going to drive past me? I have to ensure that my speed and my relative velocity has to be ensured in such a way I am not run over by the car? No. In fact, if you put a mic to the chest to that child would say, I really want to know how much sugar is there in that candy floss. That's the only thing that that child will say. Whether it is sweeter than yesterday or it is going to be a little more sour. Every step that he or she takes on that road will be always to think, how sweet is that candy floss? Will he or she even think, how much does it cost? Does it cost $1 Australian or 145 today? No, because that whole responsibility has been shifted to whom? Has been shifted to the mother. It is the mother's responsibility to pick you up from this side of the road to that side of the road, and you are just going to enjoy the candy floss. And let's not forget, we never ended up with one. We always asked for the next one as well, because we always like our sweets. So this similar way, if somebody says from the other side of the road, you are surrendering your freedom, you could have crossed by yourself, this is not the right way to do it. Actually, the answer is no. By just giving one finger to the mother, we have allowed us totally free, be absolved of the scenarios which are happening in and around us. And we are totally free to enjoy the thoughts of the candy floss, the thoughts of eating it, and the thoughts of the sugary treaties that is actually standing on the other side. Isn't it so? Hence, we see from this very example that by all these examples of traffic on the road, examples of the football match, as Purushottam Prabhu said, examples of living in a country and choosing a profession, everywhere we are putting ourselves into some kind of restriction so that we ensure we have freedom. So, what I want to say as the introduction is that to gain some kind of freedom, we have to let go of some kind of freedom. It is a give and take policy. It is not going to be in such a way that I want full freedom. There should be no rules and regulations on top of me. This is not possible even in the world which we are living in right now. So that is why in the Shastric studies, in the scriptures, this entire process is told as Sharanagati, or it is called as surrendering unto the Lord. So what does the Shastras say about it? So we have to learn some terms of Sanskrit. Do not be worried. If you are not a person who is well versed in Sanskrit, it doesn't matter. Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that when you hear it again and again, you will actually remember it as you go. So even if you have not understood the words, do not worry. Just let it flow. Let it come to you. Let it slowly absorb in itself. And whichever language you speak as your mother tongue, just keep a translation of that word in your brain. So there are some Sanskrit terms that we have to understand. The Sanskrit term of surrendering our restrictions of freedom, or the word surrender, is called as sharanam. Please understand, it is not the word charanam. Charanam means feet. Sharanam means surrender. There is a word between sha and there is a word called cha. In no means I am trying to take a Sanskrit class, but I am just trying that many people who speak or write in the books, even in the published books, they make this mistake of using the word sha versus cha. Sharanam means surrender. Charanam means feet. The process of doing sharanam, that means the process of doing surrender, is called as sharanagati. Gati means path or the process of doing this surrender. So whom should you surrender to? That is also said in the Shastras. There is somebody who is called as Paramatma, who is the Lord himself, and there is somebody who is called as Jivatma, or the spirit soul. Since you are already read up to the third chapter, in the second chapter you might remember that Nadia Chandra Prabhu would have said that, oh, what is the condition of the soul? He is a spirit soul, part and parcel. All that Krishna speaks about in the second chapter, let us bring that back to our memory, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, whom we also call as Paramatma. And the other person is a Jivatma. Jiva means soul, spirit soul. People like you, me, all of us on the Zoom call. We have to attain none other than the Lord himself. So he is Paramatma and here we are Jivatma. So we have to attain him. This process of attaining is called as Sharanagati. That is the process of linking or surrendering our freedom unto whom? Unto him, unto the Lord. That is called as Sharanagati. So the person who gives Sharanagati, that means a person who takes your surrender, is called as Sharanyam, or he's also called as Sharanya. And the person who is giving the surrender is called as Sharanagata. Now you might be thinking, which class I came to now? First and foremost, it was example. Now it is all different words with sha, 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 shu, sha. Do not worry. They generally say the first half an hour is the only time where people are rolling up their sleeves and giving their ears, because they will like to know who is the speaker. Looks like he has not cut his hair for many days. Seems like our time will also not cut. Our time will also not go. Whether he is speaking very difficult matter, or whether he is going to sleep, or if his words are in a nice soothing tone, will we get sleep properly? It's already 6:30 to 7. We have toiled our weekdays. So these things are very common. Do not worry. And I am a great sleep inducer. And whenever you sleep, I will think you are meditating. Don't worry about it. I'll always think that you are going on a very nice meditation, and this class has enabled you to meditate. So please do not worry. It's only the first 30 minutes that they generally say the recipients of our senses are nurtured enough to catch the main points. Once you get the main points, then the rest of the stories are just our grandma and grandpa telling us stories. And when we tell stories, everybody likes, children likes, kids like, everybody likes stories. So the next part will be all stories. So this is the only 1 or 2 points which are there. So what is we are doing is Sharanagati is the process where the Jivatma attains or surrenders unto the Sharanyam, who is none other than the Lord, and the Jivatma is called as Sharanagata. So this is the most important aspect that we learn in the Shastras, that we have to surrender in order to get the basic element of total freedom. But now a person will have a question, generally who has been following. Okay, you said that we have to surrender our freedom. Some part of our freedom has to be given away. Okay, fine. We will give up some part of freedom. But I have done this many times in the past. You know, my boss who works in the office, I have surrendered my weekends to him. And in my bonus time, he said, get out. How many of you can relate to this? Or even better, why to talk about the boss and the employee? Let's talk about the example Nadia Chandra Prabhu gave. In the marriage, when the marriage was supposed to happen, so many things were told. Every day, I will catch your feet. If it pains for you, I will massage your feet. These were the promises of surrender which were kept. Afterwards, the same person is making me walk up and down the kitchen after baking every single cake, telling me to get new strength. My legs are paining. My legs have surrendered in themselves, but the other person is not listening to me. What was the use of such words? Where were those palatable words? So, Prabhuji, please don't tell me about surrender. It has always met with failure only. Nobody has followed their process. Nobody has actually kept their word. This always happens anywhere and everywhere. So these are common answers. So the Shastras say we meet with failure of surrender because we surrender to the wrong person. One of the greatest failures that we cannot attain the right level of surrender and get its benefit is because the person to whom we are surrendering, that person is not capable enough to give us bliss or happiness. So the question arises, then who is that person? Who is the person who can actually give us this bliss and happiness? Does he stay in Melbourne or does he stay in Perth? Can I go and get him his address? So the Shastras give us that address. That the one and only person who can give us total happiness is none other than Krishna. This is the answer that Shastras give us. Now, let us talk about it. Let us not just accept it because somebody has told it. Shastras has told it, so we have to accept it. No, we have to question even the Shastras so that we understand it much better. So if somebody says, I won't surrender, Prabhuji, just because you have got a 4-part series of lectures and you are going to speak every Saturday, I am not going to accept that surrendering is good for me. But we have to see the other side of it. Whether we want or not, we are already surrendered, says the Shastras, says the scriptures. How are we? If I am not surrendered unto Krishna, how have I surrendered? The scriptures say, if you have not surrendered unto Krishna, you have already surrendered yourself to the illusory energy of Krishna. Please understand, we are surrendering anyway. What is this illusory energy of Krishna? 3rd chapter, has it come or not? Nadia Chandra Prabhu never spoke about, do not worry. The 3rd chapter and the forward chapters of Bhagavad Gita speaks that Krishna says, either you will come to me or you will come to my energies. What is this energy? This material world. When we surrender unto this material world, thinking that this will give us happiness, and I will not become a devotee. I will be agnostic. I will be atheistic. I will find my own path. I will choose my own path. What happens is the material world also flexes its muscle and says, you want to follow your path, then you will have to face the harsh realities of life. And what better example than the latest COVID 19 as an example? Did COVID 19 choose whom to affect, whether it's the president of the country or is it a sanitary worker who is working on the streets? It didn't have the choice. The laws of material nature equivalently acts on everybody. It's not merciful. Even if a baby goes, crawls and touches fire, will the fire think that this is a baby? It does not know that the fire will hurt. It does not know that the fire will burn. So I should not burn this baby. Will it think so? No. The fire will burn the hand either of an adult or of a baby. Suppose somebody is walking on the ledge of the terrace and his legs slip and he's going to fall down on earth. Will the gravity think, oh no, he was not intending to commit or jump? Actually, his legs slipped. That's why he fell. So I should not use this gravity. He should not fall down. No. Mother Nature will not think so. It will be merciless in itself, whether it's our mistake or not. We have to surrender to our results, that whether we touch the fire, it has to burn. Whether we slip our leg and fall down, we have to get hurt. These are the rules of Mother Nature. It does not see whether you are poor or rich. It does not see whether you are strong or weak. It does not see the gender, whether you are male or female. It does not see the caste, creed. Everyone will be caught by the scruff of the neck and told to surrender. Now, so many people are getting into the cosmetic industry and they put their Botox injections everywhere so that their eyes don't wrinkle back, their cheeks don't melt away. They put a lot of Botox injections so that they are always young. But time has got its own methodology. After some time, all those Botox will seem like we are an old ox. How much ever we try, our eyes and our cheeks will start melting and we will go towards the old age. The Botox we might try again and again, but we will become an old ox as we go on. So this is not probable. So we have to surrender ourselves to the ultimate reason and the cause, which is that Mother Nature will ensure that we are surrendered, if not to Krishna, we are surrendered to Mother Nature. So the Shastras give us whom to surrender. First thing they say is, please surrender to Krishna because you have no choice. The first reason why they say that we should surrender to Krishna or Supreme Personality of Godhead is we have no other choice. Because if we don't surrender to Krishna, we will surrender to Mother Nature and she will take us by the scruff of the neck and she will ensure that we go through distress. But look at the other side. If we surrender to Krishna, the Shastra says it is only happiness. You don't go through distress. So one of the first reasons that they give is surrendering to Krishna gives happiness. Now I would like to open the question again to the audience now. Give me some reasons from your practical life. Give me reasons from your practical life where you have observed that by not surrendering to Krishna, but by surrendering to the material world, what that means is, I will not like to be a devotee. I would like to be agnostic, atheistic. I would like to find my own way. How that process has been less rewarding than surrendering unto Krishna. So I repeat my question. How surrendering unto Krishna is better and how surrendering unto his illusory energy or the material world, Maya, is actually not good for us. So you have to give me some practical examples of your realization, and everybody might have. If you do not have, or if you think the other way around, please let us discuss, because you need not accept all that I say. So let's talk about it. So, any examples where you feel that the surrender unto Krishna was better than surrendering unto his illusory energy or Mother Nature? Any responses? Any opinions? Any realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think when because we try to take control of the situation, and when we try to take control of the situation, it never usually goes in our favor, because we want it to go a certain way and it doesn't go. And then that we become more into, I want this, I can do this, I want to get it my way. And
Right.
it just forms a vicious circle. And I feel it's just a blob of misery where you dwell. Like when you try to, when you take charge, and when when you're in a certain situation, you don't do it on purpose, but then eventually you try to think that, no, God can't help me. No, I don't want, I know God's trying to teach me a lesson, but I won't do it. I'll do it my way, my way, my way. And
Right.
it just goes on and on, because it becomes like a circle. That's
Right.
my experience. I feel that.
Very nice. Very nice. What's your good name, Mataji?
Shagu,
Yeah,
Shagambari.
Shagambari Mataji. Okay, I'll come back to you. There's a very, what you said has been said by somebody else. And when you hear the same thing said by such a great personality, you will feel that you are thinking alike like that personality, which is very nice. So I'll come back to that. Anybody else? So as Shagambari Mataji mentioned that our way or highway, we keep thinking and neglecting Krishna's hand, but we only run around in circles. We don't go anywhere. Very, very good point. Anybody else?
Prabhu, Shashank Bhargava here.
Yes.
So my understanding is it's more like a selective total surrender
Mm-hmm.
is what we generally do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say selective total surrender, what I mean to say is if things are not going my way, I'll completely surrender myself and says, Krishna, help me, save me.
Right.
Because that time I need someone, I need one kind of belief to say that, yes, I will get out of that
Mm-hmm.
position or
Right.
whatever the distress I am in.
Right.
But on the contrary, when things are probably going good, I may choose not to have complete surrender. Then I start thinking, nah, I can control a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
and now things are going in my way. That's when my surrender goes down.
Goes down. Okay. Great. So that's a very nicely put. When things are rosy and things are fine, I can flex my muscles and I can meander my way. But when the tempest is strong, when the twisters are hitting me, seems like I am in a twisted circle itself. Krishna, I need help. Okay, I hear you, Shambhar Prabhu. So we'll come to that as well. But good points that our surrender is faltering, right? At sometimes. Okay. Anybody else whom they feel that surrender unto Krishna is better than surrendering unto Maya or illusory energy or Mother Nature?
Hare Krishna again, Prabhuji, this is Sumit here. I think
Yes.
the best example I can think of is my pre Krishna consciousness. Of course, I can't say Krishna consciousness for myself, but the starting of the pre Krishna consciousness, the pre time and the time since I started. I think if I talk about the pre time as an example, you would actually work so hard for anything, like with the illusory energy of Maya, and you're working, whether it's a success on materialistic nature, whether it's your family and whatever it is, right? It used to be, and it is still very short-lived, right? Though you would have
Right.
spent working on a large deal, you won $10 million contract for your company and this and that, you'll feel, wow, that's fantastic. Next
Right.
second, after 5 minutes, what next? So that was the pre, and then post, which I'm still very, very kind of, in the beginning stage. But I think I can see it is not void. I can see it has got much more deeper meaning and a purpose, which I'm still, yet to reveal everything. But I can certainly see the difference, and I'm kind of building upon what was said before. Is that the illusory energy and the that is so very short-lived, as opposed to the Krishna consciousness, which is perpetual, which is eternal, as I think.
Very, very wonderfully put, Sumit Prabhu, that any service done to illusory energy, she is so stringent and strict that even the results that she gives her seems like beggings of alms that she gives to us, and it's so short-lived. Yes, there is pleasure, but it is short-lived. Whereas on the other side, um, it seems like the bliss never ends. So that's a very good realization. So let us see some of these examples. All three of you stated and very beautiful. One mentioned about faltering surrender. One mentioned about running around in circles, and Sumit Prabhu mentioned about how the bliss quotient of something which is spiritual is far, far higher in nature. So let us hear one of the primary person who is involved in bhakti, who is Prahlad Maharaj, who was Prahlada, who is none other than the son of Hiranyakashipu, for whom Nrsimhadev appeared. Just a couple of days back, we had Nrsimha Chaturdashi. What does he speak in Srimad Bhagavatam about this people who take surrender not to Krishna, but who take surrender unto the material energy? So this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, a very wonderful book where Srila Prabhupada translates the conversations between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. And this is a shloka which comes in the 7th canto, the 5th chapter, and the 31st shloka. And Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate vidu swartagatim him vishnum durashaya hebahir artam manina anda yatandir upaniyamanas te pishatantriam urudam nibadda. What Prahlad Maharaj says is that persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, people who say that I do not want to surrender unto Krishna, I want to enjoy the position, the power, the profession that I do, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that those who have this consciousness of enjoying material life and who have therefore accepted as their leader a similar blind man attached to an external sense objects. So he's saying when we are in the material world, we want to do what we want. So naturally, we want a leader and we will go and choose a leader. But Prahlad Maharaj is saying that leader is actually a blind man. And he cannot understand the goal of life, how to go back. He does not even know to cross the road. He can't himself help himself, and he cannot engage us in Krishna's service. So this is just like a blind man is leading another blind man into the path of ditch. This is Prahlad Maharaj's exact words, and what you said, Mataji, was also the same. It's like going around in vicious circles. Why are we going around in vicious circles? We are going around in vicious circle because there is nobody who is leading us to the right path. Our GPS is entirely wrong. Our entire tracker is wrong because we are thinking illusory energy to be our savior, and illusory energy will only take us round and round and round and round. And Prahlad Maharaj here says, Andayatandir upaniyamanas, one blind man leading another blind man towards the path of ditch or a pit, a dark pit. And hence, this is just a material labor as they undergo a lot of miseries. So this is what we are seeing on a day-to-day basis. And this is very easily found out. Those great nations of the world and all the great nations of the world who said that we will not be God conscious and we will try our level best have come down on their knees because of something which is as small as a virus which they cannot see by their eyes. Why? Because the mother nature will ensure that there is distress. So we have to surrender unto mother nature and be inside the house and locked down for 6 weeks, and many other world has come to their knees and sitting inside the houses. Why? We are based on the stringent laws. So it is very, very important for us to understand that if we do not listen to the words and surrender unto Krishna, we are anyway going to surrender unto material world. So we should be one amongst the 4 category of people. There are generally 4 categories of people. Category number 1 are the best first class devotees who hear and they understand. Oh, my mother says that I should study on time. By studying on time, I will pass in my examination. So this is what my mother says. So if my mother says that, I should listen. This is the first class student, first class child who immediately understands mother has said, so I should listen. But not all children are like that. There are some children who feel mother might say, but I need to learn it myself. Or for example, if I have to give another example, somebody says, don't go and steal. By stealing, you will get into a punishment. By hearing, somebody understands that is first class child. Second class child is the one, or a person is the one who sees somebody else getting caught by the police. I did not steal, but somebody else was stealing, and I saw that and I understood, oh, by stealing, I will also get caught, so I should be careful. That is the second class kind of category. But some people don't learn like that also. There is a third class people who says that person might have got caught. I will not get caught. I am very smart. I can meander my ways here and there and I will succeed. So there are third class people. And then what will happen? They will get caught. They will say that unless it happens to me, I will not learn. So when they get caught, they will learn, oh, if I do stealing, I will get caught. But there is a fourth class person also. They are the most dangerous person. After getting caught, serving in jail, they will say, maybe my luck was not right. I took a left turn and I ran 100 meters, police was there. If I would have taken a right side, next time I will run. I will be successful. This is the fourth class people. So Krishna says for such people who are fourth class, Naman dushkritino mudha prabhadyante naradama maya partha jana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish. Imagine the purest of the books, Bhagavad Gita, everybody keeps in their house, worships it daily. What kind of bad words Krishna is giving in that book? If you want some bad words to be learned, you should learn from Bhagavad Gita. What are the bad words Krishna is saying? Dushkritino mudaha, idiot, fool. Krishna is saying, I am not saying. Please come for my lectures. Krishna's lectures are very harsh. If you are Arjuna, you will be thinking, why Krishna is actually telling me fool? This is no, Krishna is saying, we are number one fools. Dushkritino muda. Prapdyante naradama. They are the lowest of the mankind. After these two words, we should be sit and listen. I do not know. Krishna is still going on saying, you are the lowest of the mankind whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons and do not surrender unto me. So many people have got this stubborn attitude that they will not surrender. We're almost time, just 5 more minutes. So they will have this attitude that they have got this attitude, they will not surrender. Once I went to this hospital here in Mira Road in Bombay, which is called as the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, and I met a cardiac surgeon. And was a devotee, and he ensures that those people who generally can't make the cut after the bypass heart surgery, he generally ensures that before they pass.
Hello, are you here?
Yeah, so people can go on mute. So generally when they go on this cardiac surgery and when they cannot make the cut, so what this doctor does is he goes and speaks in the ears of the patient saying, why don't you chant Hare Krishna before you pass away? So he was mentioning there was this patient who was very stubborn. She was an old lady and she never took Krishna's name ever in her entire life. And she was about to leave her body. At that time, this doctor was saying, hello, chant Hare Krishna. And she did not budge. There was no expressions. And then he said again, hello, chant Hare Krishna. And again, she did not budge. And this is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th. He was doing it for 40 times. And at the 41st time, her eyes actually wrinkled. Her face was in full of anger. Remember, she's at the deathbed. She can't even move a finger. And she was conjuring all the energy. And she was showing the anger to the doctor and saying, I heard you. And she was saying, but I will not say. Hare Krishna. And the doctor was saying, so much stubbornness at the deathbed somebody was showing. If that could have been shown just to chant once, she would have gone back home, back to Godhead. Some people are very stubborn. They cannot think or they cannot surrender themselves. And another beautiful story, I once went to Bombay to a merchant's house, and he was telling me how his father passed away. And this is a very unique story. I was thinking myself while he was going, this is a little funny also. There were 4 brothers, Mahesh, Suresh, Ramesh, and Chakesh. These 4 people were there. And their father was used to run a grocery store in India where they used to give groceries to everyone. Dal, rice, flour, and all of these things he used to give. And he used to take care of his store so nicely that he will never leave anything unattended. Once what happened, after 60-70 years of running this store, he handed over this store to his sons, and he became ill, so he was at the deathbed. And at the deathbed, he wanted to see all his family members, so immediately he said, my eldest son Mahesh, where are you? He's saying, I am at your lotus feet, my father. I'm massaging your feet. He said, very good. My younger son Suresh, where are you? He said, I'm right there next by your arms. I'm massaging your arms. I hope you are feeling well. He said, very good. Where is my other son, whose name is Suresh? He said, I'm right there next by you, getting medicines for you. And where is Chakesh, my last one, my last darling son? He said, I'm just getting the doctor. I'm here. If one of us hears this, all the sons are there, we would be happy. You know what the man said? If all of you are here, who is there in the grocery store? Who is taking care of my grocery store? All of you are serving me. Who will serve the customers? How will we get money? And he died. So what happens is that people are so stubborn in nature, they think that their own serving the material energy will actually help them out, but it doesn't help them out. So in today's lecture, what we just established was 2 facts. We have to surrender by hook or crook. If we surrender to Krishna, we get bliss. If we don't surrender to Krishna, we have to anyway surrender unto the material energy, which will be very stringent on us. Point number 1. Point number 2, if we surrender to Krishna, it gives us happiness. If we surrender to Krishna, if we surrender to the material energy, it gives us distress. Point number 3, to gain total freedom, we should give out little freedom from us. We should restrict ourselves in certain freedom. That is the first part of Sharanagati. Point number 4, that we are learning this art of surrender, which is called Sharanagati, which is called Sharanam, to be performed to a person who gives us surrender, and that person has to be a perfect person. And hence the question which we'll take up in the next class is, who is that person to whom we should surrender? And if it is Krishna, why it cannot be Ganesha? Why it cannot be Lord Shiva? Why it cannot be the other demigods? Why are you saying only that it has to be Krishna and Krishna alone? Is there any reason toward it? Is there any cause for it? And we are going to learn all of that in the next lecture to understand why it is only Krishna who gives us the benefit of surrender. So we stop here because we are almost around an hour and 5 minutes on the clock. I open this session for questions, comments, clarifications, feedback, corrections. So more than happy to hear them out. And I thank once again that this opportunity was given. So please be with us for the next couple of sessions as well, where we discuss where we discuss the entire part. So the next two sections that we are going to discuss would be whom to surrender, that is Krishna, and what are the reasons. We already stated today the reasons of surrendering unto humans, surrendering unto material people. We will see a part of it in the next lecture as well. What are the shortcomings and what is the benefits of surrendering unto Krishna and what are the benefits of surrendering unto him? That's one lecture that we'll take. And then from the examples, we will talk about from Ramayana, from Mahabharat, from various sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. We will take examples of how Krishna has enacted those activities of surrender, how he has showcased them. Those will be the stories that we will like to listen to. From here on, the stories will start. The theoretical part of the lectures are completely over. I have sold it to you that surrender is important. Freedom at a restricted way is important. If we have caught on to that, then we have to only see how Krishna is mercifully executing that surrender. That is what we will cover in the last two lectures. There is nothing else. And we will learn in this seminar, those who are interested in sloka recitations, we will learn three beautiful shlokas. And this is very easy. We will all learn together. In every session we go, we should learn something or the other new. What is in it for us? And that's what I'm going to ask also at the end. Generally, I forgot to mention this. I do this with my Perth devotees who are there. I ask them always, what's the aha moment that you caught? Or what is the haribol moment of this lecture? Something that you learned new, something that you have heard new, or something that you felt I should read more about it, or something that you felt I never heard about that, I should know about it. So all these things are yet to come. Stories galore, examples galore. So please be with us. But I would like to hear from you any questions, clarifications, comments, or your haribol moments of the lectures. More than happy to hear them out. Open to all of you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thanks for the wonderful class, Daswariya Prabhu. Just want to add to the last part where you said, some people are very stubborn when you ask them to surrender. I remember reading where Srila Prabhupada was saying, we ask people to chant, and they say, can't.
Yeah, true. True,
Something
very true.
that
Yeah, very true. Anybody else? Any questions, comments, clarifications?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Pradeep here.
Yeah, Pradeep Prabhu.
What I felt when I forgot. Let me remember again.
No problem, Prabhu. Happens. Even I forget so many things I wanted to say, I forget, but it completely happens. Let us know if you remember it by the end of the session. Otherwise, we have 2 more sessions. So definitely.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure. Please go ahead.
Sorry, it might sound very ignorant, but I just want to understand, right? So in our everyday life, like for somebody who's obviously in that material thing and trying to come into this path, what would be the simplest way to start surrendering? I do know that everything just, you raise your hand and say, Krishna, everything belongs to you, my happiness, my sorrow and everything. But to implement it, like in everyday living, what would a starter do? What would you suggest for a starter?
Absolutely. Great question. So I plan to cover that in the next lectures, but I can definitely give you a short answer now. What's the entire process of surrender starts with obedience. Simple part of obedience is having discipline in our life on doing certain things. For example, if we love someone, for example, our husband or wife or our children, if we love them, we do know what is good for them and what they like. And if we want to be in their good books, to be always they keep loving us, we will do certain things which will actually enable to make them keep loving us. Similarly, Krishna, we understand that he is the supreme person who is always going to protect us, come what may, and we need not fear. And and hence we will do only those things which is favorable to Krishna. So the first thing in our day-to-day life is we put a lens to our life from the minutest activity of getting up in the morning from our beds to the time we go back to bed. We scrutinizingly see our activities and we see which are the ones which was favorable to Krishna. In the sense, today I picked up a book and I read 3 lines or 3 shlokas on Bhagavad Gita. Then Krishna puts a mark against our name. Yes, today Shagu Mataji did this tick. This is good. So that is favorable to Krishna. Today, maybe I did not pick up my chanting bag at all. I did not chant at all. Maybe that is not favorable, because when we are ultimately looking at that. Today I went to office on time and worked very hard in office to serve my boss. But I understand that this job has been given by Krishna. So if I understand, it is a tick. If I say no, I have gained the promotion due to my own efforts for the last 1 year, maybe it's a cross. So it is not only the activities that we do in our life, it's the thoughts, it's the intent. All that, when we fall into the place of how Krishna wants us to execute, that is what is surrendering our freedom. We are not surrendering that we don't want you. We are surrendering our will, our independence a little, so that Krishna gives us entire thing. It's like giving a blank check. You have to write the amount on the blank check. That much you have to do, but it's a blank check. So that's the initial set of it, and we will churn this further more in the upcoming lectures of practically for a grihastha, for a student, for a teacher, how this is applicable in terms of surrender. It is very, very simple. It's to start with obedience as such, that let us choose all the activities which are favoring to Krishna. Anukulenasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. We'll talk about those 6 limbs of surrender when we talk about it. But this is the start. Okay. Any other questions?
Prabhuji, this is Sumit again. Sorry if I may
Yes.
build upon what you
Yeah.
just said. So I think the discipline and things you talked about, I think it'll be good to understand in the next lecture. I think it'll also be good to understand someone who has got the glass full by 2 ways. One way, for example, if I say my dad, who is 75, 76, and of course, he has got his own way. He has seen the world with his own lens. So that is one. And second, if somebody is a strong follower of some other, as you said, you'll also explain why Krishna, not why, Mata Gayatri or somebody else actually. So if somebody has got the glass full, in both the cases, what is the way out?
Yeah, definitely we will talk about it. But to give you a short answer on that as well, there are people who have got their initial bit of understandings and they keep that close to their chest. While we respect that, we cannot deny the truth. And the truth has to be seen not by me, not spoken by me, or the truth has to be seen by the Shastras. So in the next lecture, we will see the reasons why it is to be Krishna and why it is not the demigods. We will definitely answer those questions there, and we try to put those points very clearly in front of personalities who have got their so-called glass full. After a certain while, we cannot help certain people who do not want to be helped. See, let us be very practical also on certain aspects of life. We cannot churn the Harry Potter's magic wand and make it that everybody starts following whatever we say in the lectures. It doesn't happen like that. Some people follow, some people let it go, and we have to accept the practicality. What to speak of us? Just giving an example from Ramayana in this case, just to answer you, Sumit Prabhu. There was a time when Rama gives a word of Sharnagati, where he says, Even if Ravana, please go and tell Ravana that he can surrender unto me. Ravana says, nothing doing. I am going to keep Sita. I am going to enjoy. You cannot even flinch and batten an eyelid against me. At that time, Rama says, and at that time, Vibhishana comes to join Rama's army. He is the younger brother of Ravana. And we'll talk about this in the next lecture. And at that time, everybody says Vibhishana should not be included into our camp because he is the part of the enemy. And when he says that, Rama says, why to speak about Vibhishana who has agreed to come to my camp and fall at my feet and take refuge unto me? Even today, if Ravana comes and ready to take refuge unto me, I will accept him. So such is the magnanimity of the Lord that even if we turn the other cheek, he is ready to accept us. So such acceptance will come at the right moment to the right people who might have got their glass full with other demigods or others, that we leave it up to the Lord. It's just like we try to light the wet wick of the lamp again and again and again. And at the 100th time, when we try to light the wet wick of the lamp, it catches fire. So if somebody asks, which is the stroke of matchstick which enabled this wick to catch fire, the answer is not the 100. It's all the 100. Because the first time when you tried, some dryness came on the wick. The second time you tried, there was little more dryness. By the time the 100th time came, the wick was completely dry and it caught fire. Similarly, so we keep repeating the message. Because somebody has got this glass full over a period of years, it will also take time to go away. Just like our fat, which has started accumulating due to our lockdown. We have to try again and again, practice exercise again and again on a daily basis. But whatever we have eaten in 6 weeks will not go in 6 minutes. Let's be frank enough. It will go over 6 months by the time if we do not consume anything more. So that is the general rule, and let us accept that rule. And we will present the facts, but to acceptance is one to their relationship with Krishna. But as I said, the 4 category of people, if they are the first category, they will accept it immediately. Second, they will take their time. Third, will take their time, and so on and so forth. Any other questions or comments? I know we are over time, but just last closing comments or questions I can take.
Krishna Prabhuji, this
Yes.
Pradeep here.
Yes,
I
Pradeep.
don't know. It's
Yes.
like realization I got it from your lecture.
Right.
That actually unconsciously I was already surrendered into the material world. And so initially we were thinking that surrendering unto Krishna is the only, but unconsciously I was surrendered unto Maya.
Right.
So surrendering unto Krishna is the better option.
Right.
That is the thing I got it from your
Right.
thing.
We have no other option, Pradeep Prabhu. If we have not surrendered to Krishna, that means we have surrendered to Maya. It's either or. It's either Krishna or we have surrendered here. So that's a good realization. Better to dovetail our surrender from the material world to Krishna. That's a better choice. Okay.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Nadia Chandra Prabhu, any other closing comments? Otherwise, we have. I can take more questions. You can send it to Nadia Chandra Prabhu, or
Yeah.
I can answer that offline as well. So please keep your questions coming.
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you again, Prabhu, Daswarya Prabhu, for enlightening us with nice examples and setting the scene for coming classes as well. So we're looking forward to the next class. Thank you so much.
Definitely, and I thank the Perth devotees as well.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank the Perth devotees as well who have joined us today. They have gone through the first session twice, so they have been more merciful in terms of helping the Melbourne devotees also to catch up. So thank you for being patient. But from the now everybody is on the same plane. We will go a little more faster when we talk about it in the coming sessions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very
Jai.
much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.